Reasons to use a Stormboard to complete a KWL activity in the classroom, as opposed to using paper and marker or a whiteboard, will be explained in this video. So, a Stormboard is good to use for KWL because it comes with a ready-made template of 3 columns that you can easily make a title for, and then label these as the KWL headers. At least I thought it was a ready-made KWL chart, maybe not. But this is good to use because unlike a whiteboard that might have to be erased or has limited space, the Stormboard allows you to add notes where it's saved on the computer and it can be pulled up at any time, and you don't have to worry about it being erased and lost before you're done with a lesson. It's also very easy to move information around, whereas if you were using paper, if you wrote something down in, say, this section, you would have to either erase it or scratch it out or keep it where it is, but make a note of having it be moved or that it's connected to some other piece of information, which is a bit inconvenient. It comes with a ready-made color legend here that you can hide. You can also zoom in and out. With paper, you can't really do that. So this is useful for when you're showing this to your classroom and you need everyone to be able to read what is happening and going on the screen. It's also good to note that you can have images and videos, the whiteboard feature, and an index card or file. These are things that you can put right into your columns, unlike with paper and pen, where you can't have like a link to a video ready and available to students and to yourself. And there's more space as well, just to have like the images in the videos. Whereas on the paper, you have limited space, and again with the whiteboard, limited space. And you just have more access to the internet here. You keep it saved in one place, so you don't have to go from tab to tab looking for how or where the information that connects to the point you're trying to make is. It's all right there and ready. And oh, well, what do you know? I can just double tap to make a new note. So it's really easy to organize by changing colors, keeping things color-coded. And I'm going to type up a quick note here. Entered World War II in 1941. And with these notes, you can have people comment right on them, or you can comment on them as well. And when you share this with students, you can assign, like maybe you have questions here, you can assign them to specific students, and it's easy to keep that organized and labeled, and a due date so that it's there and they can see it. You also have, the sticky note has its own little settings here to make it easy to adjust as needed, and like the note card feature, you can add notes within a note, a sticky note, and it allows you to put in information where, like if this was on a piece of paper, you might have already written too close to it, and so that extra piece of information now has to be written somewhere farther away from the point it relates to, which just makes things disorganized. And you can also share this. So if you have Chromebooks, that would probably be a good way to have this being used by all students during class, but also just sharing it for later use with projects or homework, or just later in other lessons. And it's really easy to take care of settings on this, and I guess that the setup, and there's a variety of ways to make a KWL chart on here as well, so it doesn't have to always look the same way, which for like some students it might keep it at least a little bit more interesting. And another aspect that would be good to use is chat. So instead of like with paper where you have to have students answer out loud and it might get noisy or kids might not have a turn, if you have them chat, then each student can have a turn to say something, and noise level in the room might benefit and be lower just because they have to type instead of speak their answers. And something else is reports. With this, you have to have the upgraded plan, it looks like, but at least for some of these. This is also useful because it will keep track of who chats and who looks at certain comments or sticky notes, and this is an easy way to watch the progress of your students, whereas if you were in the classroom using paper or the whiteboard, you would have to rely on either what the students write on maybe their own pieces of paper or what they offer when they raise their hand, or also just asking questions and seeing how they respond to those questions, or other ways that require you having to grade or put work into finding out who is on task. Again, you can see the activity of the students as they work, and the assignments that they can do will also be easily seen here. So those are some ways that using a Stormboard helps with using a KWL chart, and it can really help some kids get involved with through chats, and also help them with visuals through the images and videos, and having it all organized in one spot and saved for a later reference, so that the students build on what they've learned and can always go back and actively reconstruct their schema by looking at what they have learned. So this is again why using Stormboard might help with the KWL chart.